So here we are, we're in the first month of winter. We're now mid-June and we've got 3 frosts under our belt. And as you can see, the Sir Grange Zoysia has sort of dipped a little bit with colour. It's sort of lost its little green glow and it's starting to look a little bit more unhappy because of the weather. So today what I thought we'd do is I'm going to put out some of the Lawn Solutions Colour Guard Plus. Now you've seen I've used that in a video last year on the Tiff Tuff and I was really impressed with it. There's a lot of different pigments out there and some of them don't look very convincing at all, but I've got to be honest, the Lawn Solutions one seems to be the most convincing of the pigmentations that I've seen on the market in Australia here. So today, let's give this a tidy up mow. It's going to be very important obviously to clean up any leaves and twigs and stuff like that because we don't want that to affect the distribution of our pigment. And of course, we'll remove the last of the seed head, tidy it up, and then we'll put out some Colour Guard. So as per normal, we're going to use our Rover 45 cylinder mower here. Still got it set at 20 millimeters. Does a pretty neat and tidy job, and stripes are pretty well burnt in. Looking forward to spring though when we hack right into this, give it a top dress, smooth it out, and drop the height a little more. Well, even in winter, after 3 frosts and a little less colour, it still stripes up really, really well. And now that we've actually removed that little bit of seed head, it's taken that purple tinge away again. Now, Sir Grange is slow growing grass to start with, but still getting ever so slightly bits of green off it. So it is very slowly still growing, which is kind of cool considering that we're here in New South Wales in the Hunter Valley. We're not in a nice warm Queensland climate at this time of year. So unfortunately, I didn't actually pick up all the loose leaves and stuff. They blew straight out of the catcher, so I'm gonna have to probably maybe blow them off, or I might even run a rotary over just to pick them up, because if we spray the pigment over there, there's an opportunity for little patches to miss the coloration and maybe look a little bit ordinary down the track. So let's just quickly clean that up now. Might just zip along the edges as well and just get a looking smick. One of the things that I really have enjoyed with this Sir Grange Zoysia so far is the fact that it doesn't tend to invade or try to cross pathways. You'll look at a kikuyu lawn or a buffalo lawn or a couch lawn, it hasn't been edged very often. It's trying to run across that concrete fairly swiftly. Although this is a rhizonomous and a stoloniferous grass, most of its action is normally rhizomes, underground runners. When it comes to running across the surface, it's less inclined to actually do that, and that reflects in these concrete edges. They've only been officially edged once with a blade edger, and that was a few episodes ago since this was getting laid. So as far as maintenance goes, generally just I whiz across the top there just to keep it all in check with the whipper snipper. That's about it. As far as making trenched edges, if you will, or blade edges, doesn't really invade across the pathways to need a great deal of that. But obviously if you're a super neat freak and you wanted to do a weekly trim, you could. But just know if you don't, it's not going to really invade pathways. It wasn't that long ago, I'll put my hand up and say, I was one of those people that sort of poo-pooed the idea of a pigmentation or a colour or a paint, if you will. I sort of thought it was cheating. I wasn't really open to the idea, and then couple of seasons went by and curiosity started to kick in. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to try it and see what all the fuss is about. And as I said, I did it last year and I was really blown away with how it works. Now, there's lots of different people using this stuff that you might not even think of. Turf farms, for example, particularly in winter this time of year, will be adding a pigment or a colour guard to their turf before it goes out, just so it looks a bit fresher. Golf courses use it all the time, sports stadiums, and look, to be fair, in summer, we're all applying, up until the first frost here, we've all been applying iron to help green up our lawn. So I've become quite open to these pigments and I really do enjoy using them. So very keen to get it onto this Sir Grange. Like most warm season grasses, Sir Grange will lose colour in frosty areas or as the weather cools off, no different to Cooch, Buffalo, Cockatoo, etc. So one of the things that this will actually do is it helps to lock in a little bit of heat because this is obviously a dark green pigmentation. The darker colours, like a dark car on a hot day, draws in more heat than maybe a lighter silver reflective or white car. So it helps lock in a bit of heat. This has also got a bit of nitrogen in it, a bit of potassium and some trace elements. So it's kind of like a bit of a feed as well. Lasts up to 3 months. Once it's set on the leaf, it won't run, it won't bleed, it won't come onto your cloves, it won't transfer, providing you follow the label, obviously. If you go ridiculously crazy rates, way above the recommendation, then it's possible that would occur. But following the label, you're pretty right that you won't encounter any of that stuff. Now, around concrete pathways and things like that, you need to be a bit particular. Any high-end finishes, anything you don't want potentially to be green, you probably want someone helping you with a bit of timber or a bit of board just to help define off the pathways, etc. Today I'm going to try 2 different things. I'm going to get Dad to help me with a board along the concrete pathway there, but I'm going to just try wetting down this edge here and just seeing if having it wet is going to help avoid the pigmentation staining into the concrete or whatever the case may be. But rest assured, if that does happen, even if it dries on, just a bottle of lemon juice from the supermarket. It's a cheap brand, no-name lemon juice, onto the affected area, scrub it with a brush, hose it off, comes straight off. So just keep that in mind. If you get it on an area like concrete pathway, driveway, etc., that doesn't, you just don't want it there, or accident, whatever the case may be, lemon juice is your friend, and that's what's going to help you get this stuff removed. So obviously when it comes to using colour guard, unless you want to look like a green Martian, I strongly recommend some sort of spray suit, because this stuff, unless you for some reason like the concept of maybe having a bath of lemon juice, which I imagine would find any cuts or nicks on your body pretty fast, wouldn't be much comfortable. You probably just want to cover up. This green stuff here is actually from 12 months ago, so it does stain. So just cover up. It's up to you, but I do. Okay, so application rate, 50 mils per 100 square meters. This is slightly over 100, it's about 115. And from me using this stuff last year, probably going to go about 60, 65 mils, slightly over. And that's per 7 litres of water. I'm going to add that to about probably 9 litres of water. So a little bit more product, a little bit more water, just to go over this at a nice steady pace. That's how I've found to get the best application. And then about 3 days on, we can just water this and it'll just help disperse it. And it's normally after that 3 days that this really starts to look uber natural. So shake this up really well first. All the instructions are on the box and there's further instructions inside the container. So shake it up really, really well. You'll be happy to know it's an Australian manufactured product, and that's a good thing too. So we'll start off with adding just some water into the jug here. It's probably going to be easy to mix this up in the jug than actually trying to mix it up in a spray tank. So I'll just chuck 4 litres in there. Very, very syrupy. I'd probably also recommend, once you've applied this, to clean out your sprayer fairly soon after application. I wouldn't go leaving it for hours or days afterwards. Just flush it all out straight away while everything's still wet, because it's certainly going to make life a lot easier. Again, take your time mixing it. There's no rush. You want to make sure it goes down nicely. 2/3 the way through now, and I've just hosed down this section here. It's a little bit tight to get, you can see down there, it's a little bit tight to get Dad along there with a board while we're trying to spray. So I'm going to try a new method, keep the area really wet. If I get a bit of overspray, it should dilute enough that it's not going to stain, or we can just lightly hose it off again to continue the dilution. So let's just test that theory, see how it goes. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, we've always got the lemon juice as a backup. So as I mentioned earlier on, if you do happen to get any of the colour guard on the concrete, it does help to keep it wet, but just to help it come along, as I said, just get some of this lemon juice and put it down like that. Just work it through with a broom. You can use colour guard at any time of the year. Mostly for me personally, I like to use it in the off season when frosts are likely to discolour things. Now, your best bang for buck is to get this down before any frosts occur. So technically I'm probably 4 weeks too late, but it can be done even when the grass is absolutely straw white. But the closer it gets applied to its normal colour, the more natural it's going to look. Now, over the next few days, this will level out throughout the leaf, in the leaf, around the plant. We'll give it a little irrigation in about 3 days time. That'll really help smooth it out, balance it out. You can see there's probably a few different areas here where my pace might have changed or something wasn't the same, if that makes sense. So I might have slowed down, I might have gone quicker. That will level out. So what you see now will smooth out and level across the yard. It's best to obviously also keep kids and pets and people off the yard until it's properly dried. As I said, once that's done, it's locked in the leaf, providing you're going with the labelled rates. Everything will be fine. So we'll check back in, we'll see how this looks after it's levelled out a bit. So here we are back on the Sir Grange Zoysia a couple of days after we applied our colour guard. Now, as you can see, this looks 1,000 times better from even after we applied the product. So basically, in the last few days, the colour guard has levelled itself out. It started to absorb into the leaf. And as you can see here, nothing is getting transferred to the hands, the skin, the clothes, whatever the case may be. This morning saw our first proper cold frost, or proper cold morning at -3.5 degrees. So I'm really glad that I managed to get this colour guard down just before that big frost hit, because as you can see now, we've locked in this colour, and this is the colour that we're going to see for the next 3 months. Anyway guys, look, wrap it up here. Hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you're new here, please feel free to like, share, subscribe. Helps the channel grow. Anyway, have a fantastic weekend. Catch you next time on the Aussie Lawn.